Yeah boy, yeah boy, yeah boy. Welcome to Watch Me Build It. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I've wanted to do for a while. It's a head-to-head comparison between an expensive Parnis at $150 and a cheap Parnis at $33 US. Both of them are Parnis chronographs. One of them is based on the Bezel belly tanker, the other one is based on a Rolex Daytona. I want to ask the question, is it worth paying 5 times more to buy the original Parnis? Isn't that the paradox of the watch world? Is it worth paying $150 US for the original Parnis, or should you take the punt, take the cheaper option, save yourself a bit of cash and enjoy yourself just as much? So let's flip this camera around. Come and watch me go head to head, Parnis versus Parnis. Some summary information to begin with. Let's begin with the watch on the left hand side. It is an homage to the Bezel belly tanker vintage V2-94. I bought this watch on the Parnis store and I paid $150 US for it. On the right over here we have an homage to the Daytona, the Rolex Daytona Cosmograph ice blue dial. The watch that this homages is actually a platinum watch. This one, however, came in at an astonishingly expensive $33.63. And now for the dimensions. I promise I did use my calipers, but I'm not going to bore you with the process. They're identical cases. The case width on both is exactly the same at 38.5 millimeters, thickness 13.2, lug to lug only 46.2, and lug width 20 millimeters. So a beautiful set of dimensions. Please enjoy the leaves falling in the background. It's autumn. I'm sitting beneath a tree and the wind is just blowing gently. So very wearable watches. Both homaging really beautiful watches, and yes, a price difference of 5 times, where this one cost 5 times as much as this one. Right, let's get into the head-to-head. Buckle and strap. If I take the belly tanker homage over here, let's begin with the buckle. It's got a Parnis branded buckle. I find this odd. I'm not sure. It's the only time you see that Parnis font in cursive. I really think the block capital font is great, and they should have put a nice block capital font on the opposite axis over here. It's a push button deployant with a stunning mold clasp, high polished finish, perlage on the bridge over there, a really good deployant action, really well made, sturdy, and it also has a quick link, an easy link extension. A lot of the Parnis buckles do, and I really think that is a great feature that I enjoy. This can irritate the wrist a little bit. Some reviewers really gripe about it. I'm not that fussy about it. It doesn't bug me too much, maybe because I've got more padding on my wrists. But all in all, a good buckle over there. Strap wise, also very good. You can see that you've got polished edges, brushed on the top of the lug. I mean, those are great transitions. Highly polished in the middle. You can see that I've worn this strap a great deal. A very comfortable strap to wear. You can see that the lugs have got the curl in them that a Rolex normally would. Coming around to the end links, solid end links. Pretty decent fitment. Sorry, I still have some plastic there. I've never removed the strap, and some of the packaging plastic is still stuck over there. Pretty decent fitment onto the case. It matches the case well because of the high polish, and I really think these are great straps. I'm going to give the buckle a 7. I would have given it 8 except for the funny font and the slightly intrusive push buttons. The bracelet, I'm going to go, you know what, for this price point I'm going to give this bracelet an 8 as well. I was tempted to give it a 10. Right, let's come around to buckle and strap on this one. This is a different buckle. This is the one that you would find on the Rolex straps, or an homage to it. It's got a safety catch on the top, and this one's very difficult to open. It was almost impossible when I first got it. I then modified this. I just bent it a little bit, and I found the action to be a little bit easier. A milled clasp. Sorry, I haven't cleaned these watches up perfectly. A milled clasp, a nice clasp. This portion of the buckle rocks as you close it. So some good engineering in here. I actually quite like these buckles. This one also has an easy link extension. This is a feature I really quite enjoy on the watch. Micro adjustment, not a whole lot of micro adjustment. I think there's 3 points of micro adjust, but the easy link helps to remedy that particular scenario. This buckle, however, there's sharp edges on it around the back and around the front that I've actually I took a file to it just to make it a bit neater. Its open and closing action isn't tremendously smooth. It's never failed on me, it's never come loose, but it's definitely not the same level of quality as the one that came from the Parnis store. As you can see, moving over to the strap, a very similar idea over here, where you've got highly polished edges, you've got brushed brush link tops, polished mid link, exactly the same fundamentally as the strap on the other one. Would I say that the quality was better on the Parnis Direct? Yes. And I think this is one of the places that they save money is on the strap and the buckle. So I really like this buckle and strap. I think they work as well as the other one does, but I'm going to mark them down on the QC. So we had an 8 on. I'm going to go with a 6 on this buckle. It's above average, but only just above average. And on the bracelets, it's not as obviously bad compared, but I'm going to go also with a 6, to be honest. Perhaps something we can just look at while we've got them here side by side. Can you see the level of brush is far better on the one that's direct from Parnis? This is much coarser. This is a lot more refined. So yes, that's a place that we're saving cash. Right, case back. We're going to be quick in and out on the case backs. Case backs are identical. It's the oyster case back, highly polished ring, and then a brushed center. Nothing spectacular over there. And we have exactly the same over here. Let's just get them side by side. Let's just get them side by side. Even the brushing, there's no difference in the brushing on these two. So they're both going to get the same score on the case back, and that score is going to be a 5. Movement. These are both of these movements are the Mecha Quartz movements. One is a VK63 and I think the other is a VK64, but I'll put the names of the movements down below the watches in the screen right now. These are great movements. They're by Seiko. They are Mecha Quartz movements. They work beautifully. One of them has a date, but it doesn't have a small second hand. The other one doesn't have a date, but it does have a small second hand. So I'm going to mark these movements equally. For what they are Mecha Quartz, so you've got the beauty of quartz. I never have to set these watches. They're always at the right time when I pull them out the box. But then you've got the mechanical sweep on the second hand when you're using the chronograph function. So I'll use the belly tanker homage to display that. So here we go. You can see the chronograph hand is not moving right now. I'm going to activate it. And it's a 5 tick per second sweep on the second hand. Something to mention on that chronograph function, it will run, you'll see over here, there's a minute totalizer. This chronograph will run for an hour. When your minute totalizer reaches 60 again and the minute's hand gets back to the 12 o'clock position, it ceases operation and it doesn't run. So you can't do timing for anything more than an hour on these movements, and that's true of both watches. So let's rate these movements. Out of 20, I'm going to go with a 15. It's a good, solid, reliable movement, but it doesn't get up into the upper echelons because there's nothing tremendously fantastic about it. Coming around to the case. The case on both of these watches, in my opinion, is identical. It's the same product out of the same house, and it is beautiful. It really, really is. It's got this curved edge. Let's see if we can. You see that curved edge on that case? It's a beautiful thing to wear. Look how highly polished it is. You can literally see me in the side of the watch over there. It's a beautiful size. Well finished. I really think these cases are amazing. Now, you've had a look at that one. Let me pull this one into view. And as you can see, we really are dealing with an identical product over here. So they haven't skimped money on the case. The cases are literally out of the same parts bin, the same manufacturer. While we're on it, the actuator for the second hand and the reset button, both are screw down collars on there so that you can't actuate those accidentally, and it's a screw down crown. There is no stated water safety rating on these watches. However, with those features in place, I think they would be quite safe to swim with. But for the case, I am going to go very high, and I'm going to give both of these a 9 out of 10 for their case. Right, now I come to bezel and crystal. Crystal, a pure flat sapphire with a slight chamfer. It stands moderately proud of the bezel. Nothing spectacular, but you're getting a sapphire crystal, particularly when you speak about this puppy over here. That's really great value. Bezel, now as you can see, they're both very similar in terms of their markings. However, this one is a black. They say it's ceramic, but it may well just be a painted steel bezel. This one is a highly polished steel. So my feeling, however, is that the black one frames the face of the watch so much better. This bezel is beautifully polished to a fault. I'm going to be doing a mod on this watch where I'm going to remove this bezel and I'm going to give it a brush finish, and that will be a lot closer to the original watch the watch that it's homaging. Okay, I'd like to zoom in. I'd like you to see how crisp the relief work is on this bezel and how crisp these digits are. Really great. I haven't handled very expensive watches, but I'll tell you something, this is stunning quality. It really, on both of them. So bezel and crystal, we weight out of 15. Crystal is nothing spectacular. I think the bezels are really strong. So I'm gonna go to an 11 over here. And I'm going to go 12 on the black one, simply because I think the black does a better job. And coming through to hands and dial, let's deal with the Daytona first. Again, let's see if we can get something that's a bit closer. This Daytona dial is spectacular. Look at that. It's catching that sunburst beautifully. Beautiful sunburst blue. Those indices are applied indices. They're filled with lume. The lume is all right. I'll do a lume shot for you on both of them. But because they're chronographs, the lume isn't the biggest issue to consider. Very legible. I think the legibility is amazing. And this dial is at once this watch's greatest gift and its greatest Achilles heel. Why do I say it's an Achilles heel? This is where the failure is on this particular watch. On this movement, that dial, that hand, is a 24-hour hand. But can you see the markings? The markings are 30-minute totalizer. The markings do not match the function of the hand. Similarly, on this side, this hand is a minute totalizer for the chronograph function, but it's actually a 12-hour grade. It's got nothing to do with the minutes. So, the failure on the printing is the big faux pas on this watch. And this is why it doesn't wear a Parnis badge. This is why it doesn't come via the Parnis store. I have looked at the same watch on the official Parnis store on AliExpress, and it is printed correctly. This was a massive failure in the production, and that is why these watches were so cheap. They were only $33. As a result of this, I'm very undecided as to how I should score this. If there wasn't a quality control issue on this dial, I would give this dial a 9 out of 10. I really, really like it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it the score I would have if there wasn't a printing error, with the caveat that you really shouldn't buy this watch unless you're willing to live with that great flaw in its design. Okay, so let's give that one the 9 out of 10 that I would like to give it. Hands and dial on the belly tanker homage. These are really a different story, but I think they are amazing. The hands are identical to the hands on the Daytona homage, but this one's got it right. Can you see? That is your 24-hour scale. It's presently 7:30 in the morning, and that is the minute totalizer. We've been running that chronograph hand for the duration of, well, for a large portion of the video, and you can see it's giving the minute totalizer. So folks, that's what you need to look for when you're buying one of these on AliExpress. Make sure any of the Seiko VK movements, you've got your 24-hour scale on the right hand side, and you've got your minute totalizer on the left hand side, and then on the other movements that have the small second hand, it's a running second at the bottom. This dial is beautiful. It's very crisp. I bought it because of the dial. I love the Panda, the Bicompax Panda. I think it's amazing. There's a beautiful symmetry. Problem on this watch is that date wheel is white. I would have preferred a black date wheel with white indexes. It's going to take a mark off because of that. I love the beautiful bevel around that date window though. I love that the printing on the scale on the outside is crisp. These numbers and indices are all painted, but I'm going to see if we can get the light to catch it. They've got a bit of relief on them as well. No, it's not catching it nicely. So hands and dial, I'm not going to give the same score that I gave to the other one because I don't think it talks as well as the Daytona does, but I really think it's a strong offering. Another issue that I feel elevates the Daytona dial is the fact that those indices are applied, whereas over here they're flat. It gives it a lot more depth and a lot more bling on the dial. So hands and dial, where I went to, I beg your pardon, I've just realized the Daytona was a 9 out of 10. So it really needs to be, not a 14, I'm going to go with a 13. Apologies for that. And then I'm going to give an 11. I'm going to give it 10 out of 15. It would have been 11, but I'm marking it down because of the white date window. And then X factor. Here's where it all gets so terribly subjective. Because of the polished bezel on this one, I wear it less. It's too shiny. Because of the pure beauty of this one, I couldn't give it a rip about the chronograph functions, because the truth is I barely ever use it. It's just a stunning piece. I reach for this watch twice as much as I reach for this. The X factor on this is strong, but the X factor on this Daytona is amazing. So I am going to go, believe it or not, with a 7 here, and I'm going to go 9 here. This Daytona is one of my favorite watches that I own. Would I ever buy the real one? You must be out of your tree. No, I would never. But would I look at a more expensive homage? Maybe that's going to do a better job of the dial printing. Perhaps something that's got something written on the top of the dial. I just think at a name. I like the sterile dials. You would have noticed that by now. But a name does balance the graphic out nicely. So I really do like this watch. So here we go. Let's total these scores up. We're going 17, 28, 37, 52, 57, 65, 73. 73. Here we're going 22, 34, 43, 58, 63, 69, 75. Wow. So the Daytona wins, but I couldn't really recommend it because of that QC flaw. So, what do you think? Do you think it's worth paying 5 times more? No, not at all. Not at all. You could buy yourself a new strap and you would solve the problem, because that's the only place where I found a difference between these two watches. Oh, and there's the dial. Guys, I think I've told you what you need to watch out for on these VK movements, what needs to be, where it needs to be. Please watch out when you do buy one that you get one with the correct printing. Alternatively, if you find a pop-up store like I found, they're offloading bad stock and you can live with the printing problem, go for it. $33. You can do nothing with $33 except buy a really nice Parnis chronograph. So would I recommend buying from the Parnis store directly? That's become a trick question. There's no longer a Parnis store. So let's have a look and see what happened to Parnis. Alright, so here we go. We're on my browser. We're going to go for Parnis watch. The official website was parnis.org. It's no longer there. This website is a mess. It's not worth anything. And there was one a little further down. Parniswatch.com flagged as a false website, a scam website. That leaves us with another option, and the other option is to go through to AliExpress. So we come to AliExpress. I'm going to go through to the stores that I'm following. Parnis official store. You can search for an AliExpress and you'll find it that way. And here we have the official Parnis store. They've got a front page where they've got all of the general offerings, and they've got categories. This is just also a bit of navigation advice on the AliExpress website. And because we're dealing with quartz watches, I'll go through to the quartz watch. And I'd like to scroll down because there's our watch that we've just taken a look at. So you can buy this on the Parnis official store. You can see pricing from $88 to $96. Whenever you see pricing like that broad, it's usually because they have various iterations. And if you come down to color, that's where you'll find the differences here. So just have a look and see what they're offering over here. So we've got a white dial, I think that's the Panda actually. Then you've got a rose goldish looking one with a black dial. That actually could be a beautiful watch, that one, maybe for a lady as well, or a guy. You've got a black dial, I think they call that the Dark Lord. Got a peppermint dial, a white, there we go, yeah. Here we go, coming up for the bi-compacts. This is a very nice option. It's the same one I've just done now, but if you want something that's a bit more contemporary, you go for the bi-compacts black face instead of the salmon color dial. And there's the one that I've been looking at. So all of these are available. What I'd like to show you, here's the peppermint dial. It's about as close as you're going to come to the blue dial that I've just looked at. But if you have a look at those two sub-registers, you have a minute totalizer on the left-hand side from 0 or 60 to 60, and then you have a 24-hour scale on the right-hand side. So this one is printed correctly. So guys, it seems that parnis.org is no more. Let me just parnis.org. That was their website, yeah? Go. Safari cannot open the page because the server cannot be found. So there we have it. If you want to buy a Parnis watch right now, it has to be off of AliExpress. You can go directly to the official Parnis store on AliExpress, or you can try one of their millions of resellers. The choice really is yours. But Parnis.org no longer exists, and I can't find anything that comes close. There was one site that was purported to be a Parnis site, when I clicked on it, I got feedback off of my browser saying it's a false site and it's here to scam you. So folks, there we go, a head-to-head, cheap Parnis versus expensive Parnis. My ultimate conclusion for these specific two watches, go with a cheap Parnis. Don't waste your money on the expensive one. And right now, you can't even do that, even if you wanted to. Guys, thanks, this has been a lot of fun. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and then click that little bell and select all, and then every time I post a new video, your phone will let you know. Thank you for watching me.